one stopped to think about the babies or how they would survive. And we've almost lost Detroit this time.
Hi, I'm Kenya Abbott Jr., and welcome to the first episode of PoliticKen. I'm so excited to be here, bringing together dynamic individuals with different points of view, opinions, backgrounds, but with one common goal: impact. Detroit is a place of resilience, so remember, it always bounced back. There's so much going on in 2017 with looking at places like Midtown and downtown, revitalizing, but neighborhoods being left behind. It's up to us to have an impact. It's up to us to come together. It's up to us to have an impact on our city. Now, it's time for our panel. Here with us today, we have Keon Clinton, founder of Family Forget About Me, I Love You, motivational speaker, and electrical engineer for DTE Energy. Hello, Keon.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing all right.
We also have Silver Danielle, justice seeker, educator, and co-founder of the nonprofit SDM2 Project Education. Hello, Silver.
Hello.
And last but not least, we have Omar Dismuke II, creative director, Detroit native, and community ambassador. Hey, cuz.
Hey, how you doing? Peace.
So, we're just going to jump right into it. It's the 50th anniversary, 1967 riots. A lot of us born in Detroit, raised in Detroit, went to school in Detroit, living in Detroit, working in Detroit still. Is there progress? How are we feeling? How do you all feel about it?
I think there's progress. Still have a long way to go. Let me put that out there first. But I think we've made some great strides since the riot in 1967. Segregation was one of the biggest progress. I think also few of the nation's most respected authorities are black figures. 1, 2, we had a black president and first lady of the United States. But like I said, we still have a long way to go. Unemployment rates are still high. Black businesses are still low. And there's still a lot of community revitalization projects that I believe need to take place in order for us to build more of a welcoming Detroit, if you will. So.
Yeah, I think like when we talk about the progress Detroit is making, I think it's always important to remind people that Detroit never died, right? Because there's this idea that now, because we are in this dug-in era, that now we are coming back, we're resurging. And like there was even a billboard I saw recently by Cobo Hall, and one of it said Detroit, and then the behind of it said to be determined. Mm-hmm. Like there's this idea that somebody else is now being able to come in and create progress for a place that never died. Like we've had life since the riots, before the riots. We've always had community. There's always been a love in the city that you won't find anywhere else. So we talk about progress. I just want to make sure we're wondering, like, hey, what does this progress look like? Because there's so much happening in downtown and midtown, but I do not consider that progress at all, because it has nothing to do with the people that birthed this city, who have paid taxes in this city, who have done the groundwork for this city. So the progress that we have is that, like, Detroiters love Detroit, and there's no issue that is happening in Detroit that is not like the people have been doing, not those that like to come up take the queue line now and come in on the Tigers game, or who decided we're going to work at Quicken Loans and now we're going to get a loft downtown. Those aren't the people that are doing the progress. It's the community leaders, it's the people with the gardens that are doing it. It's the people that are watching their neighbors' kids while they're gone. That's what the progress is.
I'm gonna take a different approach. Progress, I think it's been some progress. However, I feel like Detroit has been on the treadmill. It's been running fast but not going anywhere. I just feel like as a degenerate, the black urban areas have still been in a place where they're making progress, but it's still so much work to be done. I just feel like the difference today, rather than 50 years ago, we just have information. We have access to resources. We can see everything. We can see that there's still been manslaughters and oppression and discrimination being filmed live every day. Versus 1967 when it started the uprising. It's the same thing going on. So progress, yeah, but it's still a bigger issue at hand. And like Silver said, downtown Midtown is popping. I mean, it's definitely looking good, but the inner cities are still looking the same. You know, so progress, yeah, but progress has to be made now on our end. You know, so.
And so one of the common theme that I'm hearing here is it's the powers that be, right? It's the things that are the unknown, what we don't have any control over. And so I'm glad that we're having this conversation because then we can have a different lens and be able to look at it differently. I want to take a quick shift right now because when I think of progress and when I'm thinking about what Detroit can be, the young people always come to mind. I'm always trying to figure out how are they being taught, how are they thinking differently, because ultimately this city is going to be theirs. They're going to be the ones that are going to bring it. So let's move a little bit into education, just looking at, I mean, Silver, you're there in the classroom every day. What is this institution and how is it really benefiting our young people, and is it?
Yeah, so I'm a teacher. I've been teaching now for 5 years. I've taught everything from 5th through 9th grade at this point. And Huey taught us, right, that the revolution is always in the hands of the young. And so a lot of people look at the youth as they are the problem. And so my issue with that is like, how can you look at a whole generation of people that were made in the image of God and think that there's something wrong with them? You know, I'm questioning the God that you're talking about then if you can look at them and say that they are a problem. And the reason I teach is because I believe I can't change the world. That is why I teach. That's probably contrary to most professional developments and what they say. I teach because I cannot change the world. I teach because every class I have up anywhere from 18 to 36 of my largest number of students in a class that I can work with them and impart something to them, and they're going to go out into politics, they're going to go out to healthcare, they're going to go out to education, they're going to go out into the entertainment industry, they're going to check every circuit there is, and that is how we create change. I think education is so powerful because it remains the only place that you can simultaneously address all of the interconnecting oppressions that our people face all in one class period. So I think it's very important to make sure when we are going in education systems, what are we teaching them? Now we have Common Core, which are these standards that we are all teaching across the country, and that's great. I understand why those are good, but just because they mastered a Common Core standard means nothing. Like it means nothing if I don't educate a child to they're a lawyer, that's great. But are they the lawyer that is going to make sure stand your ground is repelled? Like that's what's important. It's not alone that we are teaching our kids, but what are we teaching them and what are we preparing them to do? Because I believe I'm educating soldiers. And then when you leave my classroom, I want you to be able to say that this is oppression. I like my 8th graders, we were talking our last day field trip to Cedar Point, and they looked around and they was like, ooh, look at all that white privilege. I'm like, see, y'all gonna get me fired. Y'all gonna get me fired. But I want them to be able to identify like this is oppression, and because if they can't, they won't fix it. And it will be in the same part, you know, the same cycle over and over again, and you can have 4.0 students and still repeat the same cycle.
First off, I agree with everything you said. That's an awesome perspective. For me, not being in the education field, my nonprofit family's focused on youth advancement. And I try to get people to understand outside of the classroom is such an intricate part of education. When I went to college, I had 50-minute courses. As an engineer, 50 minutes only showed you high level. You had to spend 3-4 hours learning it. So we teach kids first off, you're kings and queens. And you have to understand that you inherited royalty. You don't have to ask for it. You don't have to explain yourself. You inherited that from the moment you came out of your mother's womb. Also, you can be great in your situation. Most of these kids that I'm learning is they're doing so much more other than being able to come to class and learn. Because when they leave class, they got to work 40 hours a week. After that, then they got to watch their 3 siblings, their parenting and adulting. They're doing so many other things, but you want them to be a scholar. What are we doing outside of the classroom and nurturing it? I never blame the kids, ever blame the kids. I look at their parents. I look at do you have mentors? Do you have role models? What area are you in that is impacting you to make certain decisions? So one thing that I always try to focus on is the why. Why are you doing this? Why are you acting this way? Why are you responding like this? And it's all about exposure. I believe once we expose our young children to something greater, an atmosphere of positivity, that is when they will start believing in themselves. Because it's easy to come in the classroom and say, you can be great, you can do this. I did it. No, let me show you. Let me take you to a college. Let me take you to an area where people are motivated at 25, 24, 23. I got my own business. I got my own this, and this. And you can do the exact same thing because I came from the same neighborhood as you. I dealt with the same struggles as you. And that's where education comes from me. Letting kids know, be whatever you want to be. but let's find the right role model, the right mentor, and let's guide you to get there. So that's how I believe education can help our youth.
Man, Keon, you said a mouthful, man. I actually worked in nonprofit for years, so personally, I've been on the front line just seeing at-risk youth come in with so many barriers that's outside of education. So like you said, it's so much components that you have to factor in before the education piece can even sink in. I was with a program called Jobs for America's Graduates. It's a national high school dropout prevention program. It's in 33 states. I was with the Michigan sector, and just seeing how hungry these kids come in, seeing how economic hardships has impacted their family to where they're not showing up because they just can't even make it in. And so when you factor those issues in, they're definitely not retaining no information right now. I can't even hear over my stomach. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times the school system, in a sense, it's not that they'll overlook it. It's just they don't have solutions to provide adequate support that meets them where they're at. You know, it's issues outside the home that will prevent anybody from not being focused. You know, if you go on your job, if you got issues that on your mind from some situation that happened at home, you're not focused at work because you're dealing with everything outside of your job. So one of my supervisors told me if things at the home ain't right, things at the workplace ain't right. So that's the same scenario can apply to education. If things at home ain't right, things in the classroom ain't gonna go right for you because your mindset is not right. And so, like both of you guys have mentioned, let's start with that mindset first. So,
can I say one more thing too? I always tell people that there's a million problems and 1,000 solutions. Which side are you contributing to?
definitely.
Right? At the end of the day, we have to truly understand. One thing that bothers me and always challenge, especially us millennials, when we talk about education, one thing I hear a lot is, oh, there's a lack of resources, there's a lack of computers, books, and all these things. Granted, that is true because the funding is not getting spread into the right areas, right, appropriately. But we as college-educated people have to give back. We have to be the resources. We have to bring things to the front door. That's what I believe we have to start doing as millennials, because it's easy to point out and complain what's wrong, but kids shouldn't have to worry about creating resumes if we already done it. Kids shouldn't worry about having to create elevator speeches or college career fairs or filling out applications. We shouldn't have to depend on the government. We shouldn't have to depend on a contractor, any vendor, because if you care about people after you coming up, you'll go do that. And that's one thing. Before I started a nonprofit, I used to go back and talk to the kids and say, hey, what can I do to help you right now be better in your situation? So I like to challenge people to say, be the resource that the schools are lacking, because we have the ability to do it. So.
And I think that's a great point. I too am in the education field. I work with a couple nonprofits coming out of college that offer support. So we like that extra help in the school that all of these schools need. And I always argue that these schools, to me, are resource rich. But who are they targeting? Right. Because it's always the same group of kids in the programs. We're not really hitting the ones that need it. And it's also this idea of young people not having a sense of purpose. And I think it goes right into what you all are saying, because when I don't have a sense of purpose and understanding why I'm here in the first place, if you're teaching me something and you don't believe in me in the first place, then of course it doesn't matter. It goes in one ear and out the other, and then I have so much more to deal with. And so it's all of these type of things that we're dealing with when we're in the classroom setting, or even outside of the classroom setting. You're talking about non-traditional education, which we're losing because a lot of us have turned our backs because we feel like, it's not going to change. It's nothing going to happen, right? And so I think that all of that too goes into who are we holding accountable for this, right? Of course, we're about to go into Detroit and government, but it's just, when we start to look at education and the problems within our city, who are we holding accountable? And you already kind of called us out, Keon. Who else are we holding accountable for this?
I think when we realize I am because you are, and so we have to be responsible for our own people. If something happens to my brother next door, that's my problem. That's my issue, and not picking what issues would be easier for me to address. Because I mentioned before, I've taught everything from class size of 18 to 36. Both of those classes were in Detroit. It wasn't like I taught in the suburbs that I had the 18-person class versus when I had the 36. All of those are in Detroit, and it's the difference between what zip code in Detroit you are. That's a problem that should be on the minds of every single Detroiter. We're so sometimes concerned about wanting to be better than across 8 Mile and
Yes.
changing our
Yes.
perceptions. We want white people to think we're this or we just. I'm not concerned about the perception another non-black person has about me and my people. My concern is you are my brother and I look at you like that immediately. I don't care what you did. I don't care where your pants are around your waist. I don't care how loud your music is or what you're listening to. I don't care if you have a degree or don't. I don't care if you smoking this or you smoke. I don't care. When I look at you, you are my brother. You are my sister. So you are my responsibility. And I think we wouldn't have an issue of like people coming and trying to buy up all the homes in our neighborhood if we looked at ourselves like this. Dan Gilbert and all these people wouldn't have been here in the first place if we looked at each other and said, you my brother, you my sister, you're my responsibility. So while I'm like excited to see what happens with these elections and I'm staying informed, I went to some forums to figure out who I'm going to vote. I'm voting so that when I complain, I know who to complain to. Not because I'm looking for anybody else to fix the problems in this city. That's not my concern. I'm the responsibility. Like we are responsible. It's not nobody with letters behind their name or a title or office downtown that is responsible. It is the people sitting here. It's anybody that is watching. Like if you are responsible because like you my people. You my people.
Exactly. I want to piggyback also. So who do we hold accountable? I think we all agree in unison. We are accountable. And again, it starts at the home. I feel like as a people, we were systematically deprived of certain elements. You know what I'm saying? So the parent naturally couldn't always provide the children what they really needed because they didn't know how. So things like that you have to take into consideration. But at the same time, now is the time to figure out everything you didn't know. There's no excuse now. There's no excuse now. We're living in the age of information to where everything's accessible. So again, like Silver said, when we see our young people, we see each other because we are a reflection of each other. So we just have to start being more accountable and time off of hashtags and just start doing stuff. So that's how I
Better
feel.
focus on the little things, like the things that we're good at. For me,
Focus on what you're good at. Right?
when I was growing up, nobody ever told me how to dress. Nobody ever told me how to tie a tie, all that. So when I learned, I said, what I'm going to do is go back and teach other young men how to dress, how to tie a tie. You'll be surprised going into a room how many people don't know how to tie. I'm talking about not just kids, grown men. And it's nothing, and I don't judge you because I didn't learn how to tie a tie until I was 21.
Oh wow.
Right. Yeah. So and now I do it all. Bow ties, I tie, But what I'm saying is we have to learn how to teach what we know. I think we get in this misconception of where we gotta have the entire blueprint. No. Whatever it is that you know, the little piece of information, lift as you climb. Let me give you but we're taught to hold on to what we got. Just protect our family. We compartmentalizing ourselves within our own communities. So we got to learn, you a king.
Exactly.
You can have what I have. Why? Because I got it.
Right.
And I'm willing to share it. So that's what, when I say educate, you got to teach what you know. And if we all adopted that mindset, I think we all be in a better place. I'm sure you can agree with that. So.
And through this platform or opportunity and having PoliticKen, I think that that's one of the major things that we need to start, grasping and understanding that I'm sharing what I got.
Exactly.
Everything I got.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? And it's not to the benefit of me. It's to the
Mm-hmm.
benefit of the greater cause and being able to bring it together.
That's
because
it.
guess what? I ain't no engineer, but I know one.
Exactly.
I'm not an educator, but I know one.
Yep,
I ain't no
there it
creative
is.
designer, but guess who made the logo?
Exactly,
And
yes,
it's just
exactly.
it's that type of that collectivity of bringing it together that's gonna help us get to where we need to get
Most
to.
important.
And so, just to make it fun a little bit, I've been listening to the music. I know some of us are hip hop fans, may not be R&B. I do it all here and there. But this, I work with the young people, and one of the conversations I had, one of my classes we were in recently, I kind of go in just kind of oversee and make sure that stuff is going on track. But one of the teachers was talking about classical music as this term of, something to study, this is going to help you do a little bit better. But our young people not listening to that, right? Our young people think that get on their nerves, if anything. And so I think music and entertainment plays a really huge role in how we're impacted as particularly Black folks. Yeah. And so I've been very interested and very enlightened a little bit this year on the music scene. Just a couple that I've been loving, the Kendrick, Jay-Z just dropped the 444. I mean, that's Uncle for sure at this point, right? But even going off of Rick Ross with Buying Back the Block, you know what I'm saying? Like these things that they're saying while in such such a entertaining way, they're talking about something.
Yeah.
And I think that some of us are missing the point
Absolutely.
right now. And I wanted to dive into this conversation a little bit just to kind of see y'all thoughts on what some of this means and how we can start utilizing this entertainment piece and the pieces that our young people are connecting to teach.
Absolutely.
Because that's the ultimate goal. And so just a little feedback on hip hop in 2017 and what it means. Is it helping us?
Man, you know, I used to be a producer. I still do music, but I'm focusing on some other aspects now. But you know, music is definitely important to me, so I couldn't wait till we talked about this. However, music is impacting us. For whatever reason, music has become our voice.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what avenue you know, we approach it, music has been definitely a voice for us. And as far as the titles you mentioned, Kendrick album was dope. It definitely spoke to the young individual who was becoming of age and finding themselves. So basically, Kendrick's Damn album was a reflection of his life at an overview in every aspect of his life and what that particular element or topic meant to him. And it was pretty much done in like a chronological order too, which was pretty dope. But music has become an outlet for us. More and more people are becoming conscious and becoming aware of what it is out here. So now they're able to put that message in music and kind of tell a story of what's been going on, because schools may not have been getting to us, our parents may not have been getting to us, but we listen to that album. We listening to whatever makes us feel good. We listening to what resonates with us. So basically, music is a self-reflection, really. It's in a way, it's our identity, it's how we express ourselves. Jay-Z's 444 was definitely a great album. One of his greatest. To be honest with you, just showing his reflection on his earlier comings with his relationship, his family, and just in life in general, and where he's at as a man. And I feel like we all need something to refer to kind of remind us where we're going and what we need to be doing. And individuals like that who have such a high status in the industry are good voices because they are influential and they recognize their power. You know what I'm saying? They recognize that kids hold on to every word they say. You know, so why not put some good information in their heads while they at it? So Rick Ross, buying the block back, in a sense, is telling you what's going on, gentrification. They're not gonna take care of your neighborhoods. Buy it back. It's all that property. Talking about all these jobs we don't have. Create one. It's all these gun store, liquor store, blank, gun store, liquor store, spot, space. Buy that up. It's opportunity. So you can't say that we don't see the transition. It's right here for you. You know, you have the resources. You know, I'm a creative director. This person is an electrical engineer. He has she has nonprofit. He has resources. It's there. You know what I'm saying? So now finally MCs are saying this. So now they're hanging on to it. You know, so I'm loving hip hop right now. Loving it.
Yeah. I actually use hip hop in my class a lot as the text that we read. So Kendrick is one of my favorites. So we've used Kendrick's album several times within class, and a lot of people get down like, oh, they want to be another rapper. I look at it as like, you want to be rapper? Dope. Now I have an in on how to teach you how to read and write. That's the kind of way that I frame it. So a lot of lessons we actually, instead of reading like regular books, we actually will read songs and annotate those just like we would a regular text, answer questions about those, use the dialogue with it, and they will have to go back with evidence they found from the text, meaning the song, to explain their ideas. But like an unfavorable opinion right here that like some people probably like, that's crazy that she said that. So I am a defender of trap music, right? And I know it's not the conscious thing. And the reason that I'm a defender of trap music is because like, I do life every day. Like I know what the struggles of my people are going through. I know that things are hard and I know we gotta fix it and I know we gotta change it. Like, but sometimes for 5 minutes of a song, I just wanna like enjoy being joyful, right? Like I think black people, we deserve to just be able to be happy sometimes. And so what if the song is about nothing but you dancing and having fun? Like we deserve to be able to dance and have fun sometimes. We don't always gotta listen about our struggles and how we gotta do something to fix it. I think that's just as revolutionary to not be a strong black woman for a moment and to have joy, to
Take the
not,
cape
you
off.
know, not adhere to toxic black masculinity and have some black boy joy. And so I can turn my trap music on and do just the same and be just as woke as when I listen to my Kendrick, you know.
I totally
Yeah,
agree.
I'm just saying.
I like it. Versatility is always good.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear the same thing over. It gets boring. I think one thing that I really enjoy about the Jay-Z's and the Kendrick Lamars and the Rick Rosses, if you pay attention to when they first got into the rap game, it was all about flash and money, the jewelry, the cars, and all. And that was cool because when you don't have it and you finally get it, the first thing you want to do is show it off. But I look at the progression. It ain't even about the lyrics. It ain't about the album. It's about when you pay attention. I don't know if you all seen it. I seen a picture of Jay-Z when he first started. I think he was worth like $60,000, and he had the jewelry on. And then I think he was worth like a few millions, right? And he had a plain shirt.
Right.
It's just the art of understanding. I'm alive.
Right.
I'm very woke. I bought a painting for $1 million, and 4 years later it turned into $8 million. What he's teaching us is it's not about where you start. It's about where you finish, you know, at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that I always tell people. That's why I say you can be great in your situation. First, you got to transform your mind. Because everybody, whoever's interested in music, everybody want to be a rapper these days. I'm like, okay, you want to be a rapper? Let me hear some bars. And if I ain't really feeling it, I don't shoot you down.
Oh, no.
I just say, hey, you ever thought about engineering? You know? But at the end of the day, what I love about music, like you said, man, it's a form of expression.
Yeah.
It's a way you express yourselves, even with the trap music. There's nothing wrong with having a good beat that makes you feel good. Like I said, going crazy to stuff that probably don't matter. But I always tell people, these are artists. It's not about just putting words that rhyme at the end of each line. They are artists. They're showing you how to, one, produce an album, how to make a video, how to put things together, how to do shows. This is business here. All the things that you're learning in the hood, they took that and transferred it to something positive. That same energy they was put into the negative, they transformed it into something positive, and you look at them now, they're making millions of dollars off it. So yeah, they was probably selling CDs on the corner, but now their albums, $10, $12, they going platinum in the first week. So I tell people, if you're gonna become an artist, I don't believe you can become a rapper. Become an artist, right? Because an artist is so much bigger, it's so much greater. The impact, the 440, it's impact now. It ain't about rapping, it's about impact when you're an artist. So I love music. I listen to the classical. I listen to the jazz. Sometimes I just want to hear the storm going. It doesn't, whatever it is, but when you find something that impacts you, why not, love it, enjoy it, be yourself. Don't be afraid to say, I like trap music. Why? Are we going to judge you?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, let's look at your resume, right? So I love music, and it impacts us so much. So I really think that these last few albums have been very conscious and very woke. So I appreciate them for it. So.
And so, y'all speaking to a lot of the stuff that I just feel on a daily basis, right? Feeling, And it's not so much about being like-minded, but it's living in purpose.
Absolutely.
Right? And one thing that I love is that we don't even realize that we're solving problems where we are. Right? Because we're solving them on our own. And
Absolutely.
I can't change the world, but we can.
Hey,
Right?
yep.
And so once we can start realizing how we're solving problems where we are, and then we can start to connect them problems. Now all of a sudden we have community, right? And so just a little bit, I want y'all to speak to it because each of you already have mentioned some of the work that y'all are doing, but I want y'all to dive a little bit in just to show kind of already how you're combating some of these issues, particularly education, particularly economic disparity, particularly just people needing to know who they are, why they are, how they are. Just a little bit. I want to reimagine what this looks like. And then I want to go a little bit into you all kind of talking about what your Detroit looks like. What does that good Detroit look? The one we're trying to get to, right?
Oh, man.
Right? And so just a little bit speak to y'all what y'all doing and how it's impacting the community.
I'll start with me.
Ladies
Okay. So So yeah, like I mentioned before, so I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, and that's like my primary thing. I consider myself a social justice educator. So within my classroom, we address a lot of various different issues. Like one of my final projects is the students, my middle schoolers did a redesign of the prison system to address mass incarceration of people of color and recidivism rates. So they planned everything out from that. So I'm also working right now to develop a curriculum for other teachers who wonder like, how can I teach within this social justice lens, to equip other teachers to be able to do the same thing. And I'm also a part of a nonprofit, SDM2 Projects Education, which is actually something that my family started. So the SDM2, me and my sister are the namesakes for that. Our initials are SDM. And it started out as just a back to school party every year. We've given out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of book bags and school supplies every year. We've given out dental checks and free haircuts, even some computers and some laptops to the kids in the community, all on our own, out of our pockets, because we didn't have a 501c3 at the time. So it literally was just us saying, we're going to do this. But about a year ago, we actually did get the official nonprofit title, and since then we've done things. We purchased a home, so it's the SDM2 house, and within that house we've had various different partnerships. There's a summer program going on right now for another organization that my friend founded called Tough Cookies, the Underage Feminist, and it is for 6 to 11 year olds, and they learn how to be young feminists and what they can do within their community. And those babies, I tell you, are geniuses. They talk about issues of like the Dakota Access Pipeline as a 7-year-old and how this is an issue that we need to fix. We have some sewing classes, we have a male mentorship program that happens there, a community garden, food distributions every month. So there's a lot of different things that we're doing with SDM2. So that's keeping us really busy. And I think that is what, to your question about what does the good Detroit look like, I think that is what it looks like. I have a vision one day of like a whole block, like, so not just the community house we have, but I would love to see a museum on a block. You know, like we started a little bit, we have a library in the house, but to expand that, like I really want to get back to the community, the small of it. One thing I've noticed in Detroit that's been kind of like making me cringe right now is this rise of like the Black professional movement. And that's great. It's nothing against that, but then there's like, it's further like separating and ostracized. Like I'm a professional and like I'm going to give back to the people of the city that are not professional. So hopefully one day they can be a professional like me. But I think like when we do smaller things, community things, like I right now can go and pick a tomato from next door because the garden's right there. So making it more the world to look, Detroit to look like a chapter of the Black Panther Party. That's what I would love to see.
Yeah.
So right now, I currently am a marketing consultant and a workforce development specialist for Insight Focus. That's located on the east side, 5555 Connor in the Samaritan Center. So Insight Focus is a community fabrication lab. So I work at a digital fabrication lab, which is it's a makerspace. A lot of people may not have heard of makerspace, but I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with a tiny house or heard of a tiny house. So a makerspace is a facility that can actually produce a tiny house. So what I do now, I work with the Maker Professional Apprenticeship Program that teaches the community how to create. So how to be self-sufficient, how to create your own way of living, how to create your own products, how to learn how to design and manufacture your whole way of living. So now, not spending money and being a consumer, now you can be a creator. Now you can learn how to live off your own means, downgrade your way of living, and use your economy to your benefit and advantage. I'm working with a minority creative marketing agency. We're trying to create a platform for minorities to help start businesses, to train them on entrepreneurship, to just give them resources on how to not stop looking for a job and create their own. And as far as Detroit, I say Detroit can be a black bottom. It can be Black Wall Street again. If you look or ever thought about it, we don't have cities where they have an African town. Chinatown, little Italy, but where's the African town?
That's real.
Detroit can be the African town.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? So I envision Detroit being Black Wall Street. I imagine it being a thriving Motown staple of the city that it used to be. So as far as Detroit, I just wanted to come together and depend on each other instead of worrying about what's going on outside the world. Detroit is like the story of OJ. You know, I'm not Black, I'm OJ. I'm out of city, I'm Detroit. We are own. You know what I'm saying? So we need to get back to that. So That's what I feel.
I like that.
I'm not a city. I'm Detroit.
Okay.
I'm gonna use that.
We gotta put that on the shirt.
That's
yeah.
powerful.
Oh, that's coming.
I like that.
A little bit about me. By career, I'm an electrical engineer at DT Energy, but by calling, just a servant of the Lord. I'm a philanthropist, man. I started an organization at Michigan State University in 2014 called Family. Forget About Me, I Love You. Where on a collegiate level, I wanted to create an atmosphere for college kids to come and be a part of something great, you know, and get that nourishment outside of your biological family, because everybody don't have the support and love from their biological family. So that's why I started it, and I'm all about family, bringing people together. But we became a nonprofit in 2015, where our primary focus is youth advancement. You know, I want children to understand you are kings and queens. You can be great in your situation, and you don't have to wait till you reach a certain platform in life, nor do you need validity of other people to write your own ticket, to create your own path out of life. So that's what I do with family. Also, I'm a motivational speaker. Everything I do in life is to help other people. So, got a book coming out, by the way. It's called Healing the Living Dead, The Art of Revelation. And the purpose of it is because there's too many people that are physically alive, but mentally and morally dead. So my goal, and I believe God called me to speak life into those who adopted the morgue mentality. You know, these type of people that respond, I'm just going with the flow. I'm just cruising through life. No, you don't cruise control the cruise. You know, it's a different level of thinking. So on top of that, man, I do personal training for those who want to look fit. You know, I believe if you look better, you feel better. And if you feel better, you produce better results in life. So that's just a little bit about myself. And Detroit, man. I look at Detroit as equilibrium. You know, when we get to a place where we feel equally valued as people, from our opposition, one, but two, I'm all about family. I'm all about us. Back in the day, I think even when we were going through slavery, the family, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the togetherness, that was something you couldn't break. Now, we're hating each other. We're fighting each other. And it bothers me when we're fighting each other and we ain't even in the same lane. I'm a speaker. You're a creative designer. Why do I care what you're doing? To hate on it, right? You know, like, no, you're my brother. Let me send some people. I need a logo. Can you help me? So I think we need to get into this purpose of family. No more judging. You know, whatever you got, I want to help you with the resources I have, because at the end of the day, the top spot was never meant for one position. There's enough space in the area for everybody to win. That's the mentality we got to have. And I think when we get there, and it starts with us.
It does.
And then I tell people, don't be afraid to be yourself. Too many of us we get in a certain area, we try to act a certain way. No, be yourself, because you're unique for a reason. Just like your fingerprints. You know, ours will never be the same. No matter how much we look alike, at the end of the day, our fingerprints are unique. So I think once we get to this mentality of we family, we're going to support black-owned businesses. We're going to teach our youth how to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm going to keep challenging. I'm going to keep pushing everybody. You know, Kenya know that. I push. What are you doing to impact somebody other than yourself? Because you're going to be great at the end of the day. We all got our own, we hustlers. We're going to always create our own path. But what are you doing to help somebody else? And that's what I care about. When we start being selfless and stop being selfish, I think Detroit will be a better place instantaneously. We got to depend on the government. We got to depend on laws. We ain't got to depend on no. This is what we're gonna do. She was talking about the building the community. First off, congrats, it's awesome. You know, community gardening is awesome. I was just telling a young guy, if we built a park in every area in Detroit, right? If we really built it on our own, put our own blood, sweat, and tears in it, I doubt we're gonna let somebody come and mess that park up. The problem is we letting everybody else just come put money in it. We gonna mess it up, and then they just gonna come put more money in it. Then they gonna start charging us. But if we build it ourselves, we gonna, first off, who are you? Why are you coming into our land that we built with our time? So I think we gotta change the mentality of each other and continue to just challenge each other to be better. And once we get there, I think Detroit will be better.
Definitely.
And I think one of the things that you said, that self-sufficiency, and you mentioned it too, but just reiterating that self-sufficiency, that we don't need much. You know, I'm in community development right now, my master's program at UAD, right in the hood. And I see that work that's happening. And I'm like, this ain't hard. It's not hard. You really don't need a lot of money to rebuild.
Exactly.
You really don't need a lot. You know, you just need some people that's coming from different areas being able to collaborate and create community. And I think once people start, you know, really seeing what's going on and being able to own that themselves, then we'll see results. The
Exposure.
problem is a lot of Detroiters don't feel like they own anything in the city, and they
Absolutely.
don't.
They don't.
You know, and so once we can start creating those spaces where they can, I think that we'll have an awesome
You ever
city.
seen a kid and wow, ownership is so important.
No, man.
Ownership is so important. When we're younger, it's funny how we get it more than when we're older. Have you ever seen a kid, my nephew, he's 2, and then we had other kids come over and play, and he got a toy room. I mean, over 100 toys.
Yeah.
And whenever another kid picks up his toy, he gets sad, he gets mad, and go take his toy. You wasn't bothering this toy, but it's mine. And then because it's mine, I want ownership. We have to learn how to share.
Yeah.
But first, you can't share something you don't own. You know what I'm saying? We got to learn how to own first, then share. And like you said, so that's something. Oh, that's powerful. That's powerful.
What's so significant about where I work is it's a community production center. So if a person was to have an idea, I want to make a product to help my house save energy, they come to a community production fab lab where I work at, talk to different designers, architects. I'm an architect also, engineers and drafters. How can I do this? They teach them the tools, sit them down, show them the equipment, and they can make whatever they want to make. But the thing is, our slogan inside is own or be owned. You know, so that concept is so beautiful because we don't understand that we don't need anything. We can create everything and people don't understand that we created everything. How you don't know how to do anything? We created America.
Yes.
The America that we live in was on the back of us. And just looking at this panel, the 4 of us can change the world right now if we wanted to, because we have all the resources between each other. And so imagine if thousands upon millions started developing those ideals. Game changer. So.
Well, I want to thank y'all so much. This has been fun. I'm so excited. It's first show, but it ain't the end.
Appreciate you.
And I just really love the energy that you all bring. And I was very intentional on having y'all on this first show because I know the passion there. It hasn't stopped. It's been there. It's going to continue to be there. And I hope that we can pour these seeds into others and make sure that we continue to make our communities blossom.
Yeah.
So thank you, panel.
Thank
and now
you.
it's
Thank you.
time for the Youth Spotlight. I'm so excited to be here with my first Youth Spotlight, Dana Wilson. How are you today, Dana?
I'm great. How are you?
So first, I just want you to kind of tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
I just graduated from Cornerstone Leadership in Business High School. I will be attending the University of Michigan and study business and public policy, and I'm taking a gap year and I'm doing rotating internships, and I'm also going to Kenya for 2 months.
Hey, Kenya. So first, I just want to talk a little bit about how has Detroit had an impact on you?
It's huge impact. This year, my senior year, we were given the option to take AP History or Detroit Studies, and I really wanted that extra point to my GPA, but I took Detroit Studies because of I didn't know much about it, and just studying Detroit and studying like what exactly occurred, like the 50 riots we're celebrating that now. 50 years ago, the riots occurred, and knowing that, it helped me understand that there's like a grassroots to everything, and that there's not, things don't just happen, and so that helps me like approach things differently from political to personal. Like if I react in a certain way based on my feelings, then I think, okay, there's a root to this. Why am I acting this way? And I'm able to like kind of interrogate myself and interrogate other things, like other issues, and research it and get to the bottom of it.
So what does it mean to be young and black? Specifically coming from Detroit, you graduated from Cornerstone, you about to go to U of M, a predominantly white institution. What does that mean to you?
I think it means that like everyone has their eye on you, like critically and creatively. Like the pop culture is often like the basis of black culture. Like they're like the dances, the sayings, like everything is like black people, and especially urban youth. And so that's something that I'm learning, and I have to be really like skeptical and like know what I'm saying and know like, okay, I can be judged for this. But I think it's a beautiful thing. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't trade like anything of being black. I love it.
And so I want to get a little bit into the piece that went viral when you made your letter to Betsy DeVos around education. What inspired that? What was it all about? And just give us a little bit about that.
Okay. So I was going to DC I'm part of this youth coalition called 42 Forward. We work around education justice. And they asked me to speak and represent the students of Detroit and the students in the coalition. And I was like, okay, I'm with it. And so it was on Martin Luther King Day. We traveled. That's when we went that night. But we have an annual Martin Luther King retreat. Okay. So that day, we watched this video called, it was about D-Day, the Children's March that happened in the 60s in Birmingham, Alabama. And it was just like a bunch of kids, students, that was just fighting to desegregate schools. And we saw a video, and we saw like these girls, like the water hose were like so the police they left school, the students they left school and to go to church to like organize and say we want our schools to be desegregated. We need quality education. And the police, like, they had German shepherds, they had the water pressure like so high, and it was so much that the girls' hairs were like pulled from their scalp. And so when I traveled to DC that night, I kept that in my mind. And so that story is really like crazy. And so before I did that speech, I mean, I prayed, but always. And then I just thought of that because it was hard at first because I didn't, I was like, okay, I'm not ready for this. And I didn't know how big it was going to be, but it was pretty big, and I didn't expect it to be pretty big. And so I just thought of that. Like, I think I'm too pretty enough for my hair to be pulled off of my scalp, but they did that for me. And so I was like, okay, if they did that for me, then I can do this, and I can deliver the speech, and I can deal with all the crazy stuff that's going to happen afterwards. Because, people don't like it when you speak the truth, And I got a lot of mean stuff from that, like a lot of crazy people coming at me. But it was all worth it, and you just learn to fight with that. So, yeah, it was a blessing to be able to do that and to speak on behalf of the students.
And you talked a little bit about young people, and what we do notice is when we look at history over time and just movements specifically looking at fighting injustice, it's always young people at the front line. How important is it for young people to be involved in the city?
Well, the Bible says that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So, and there's so many things due to poverty. There's so many things that are so quickly accessible to us. Like, it's so easy for me to be a dancer instead of go to college, given that, like, family history and the things that are just easily accessible. So to be busy with the things that we love and things that you are passionate about is really important, because you don't get caught up in being another statistic, and your story doesn't get caught up. Like, you're able to creatively, in whatever way that you want, tell your story in something that you love.
And so what impact do you want to leave?
That's a big question for a 17-year-old. Impact.
It's good to start thinking about it.
Yeah. Impact I want to leave. I don't know. I guess I just want people to know that there is, like, the root has to be God. Like, and there's nothing that you can do without that. Like, before I did that speech, I was upset. I was upset with my mom because my hair wasn't the way I wanted it to be, or my clothes. And so, like, and before I was about to go, I wasn't nervous because I was so upset. I kept thinking about how mad I was. And before I was about to go, like, God just talked to me. He was like, would you do this for me? Like, would you forget about your hair? You are about to speak to the Democratic senators of the United States. Would you stop? And that hit me, and I just started crying, like, before I even spoke. And so the impact, I think, just the relationships are so important, and when God is in it, it's gonna go far. And so I would just say, like, before you try to search for freedom for America, make sure you're free with that, because that's the only way you're gonna be free. And that's something that I learned, and that I'm really grateful to learn, and I know I wouldn't trade that. So even though I can sit down at tables and have conversations like this about, like, okay, how do we get Black people to be free? I know deep down in my heart that the only reason I feel free and I'm able to live freely and I'm able to look at that girl in the mirror and love that girl in the mirror is because of God. Because I know I didn't used to feel that way years ago or even months ago, So I think I want people to, like, analyze my life and trace it back and know that my root was God, and that speech wouldn't be that great if I didn't listen to him or he didn't talk to me. I would have been like, I would have still been mad about my hair,
And if you could just leave any words of advice to any young person looking right now, or anyone aspiring to be great, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to Like to know that your path is your path and your education is yours. So you have to take control of that. And even though you may meet people that have like similar education stories or similar paths, there's nothing quite like you, you know? So embrace that and show that creatively. Even if you want to just show it to yourself, show it to other people, just do you. You know, don't ever try to live up to standards or anything.
Well, I'm so proud of you, Dana. Thank you so much for being my first youth spotlight. I think it's going to be amazing, and I know that you're going to leave a great impact. Thank you so much.
No problem. First, let me begin to say that I can't wait for the day I become Kanye. Ignoring all the feelings of the powers that be, not to insult the degree, but see, honest, obsolete observations are a guarantee. Just to speak to the youth and give them the hidden truth, because we are the living proof that our hoods are disguised wars and beneath metal armor hearts are worn while political, hypocritical documents are torn. We need America to reform and in Christ be reborn. In thoughts of renaissance, I'm talking pre-revolution, a brand new constitution for all the victims of maldistribution. Residing where the laws of the land don't apply and the laws of the street do, America is truly split in two. However, America isn't where the change begins, it starts within our very souls. Ain't you tired of being at the bottom of social totem poles? Because I don't know about you, but my brothers can't live their lives to the fullest. They're ended by the bullet. The signed bullets that don't forget, the anonymous bullets that need to repent. The bullets produced by a gun that killed the son, and when that gun is held by the authority, it impacts the majority. Misguided riots become priority, but reactions change when it's another minority that held the gun that killed the son. Life goes on. What's done is done. Search of support, but there is none. So I ask of you to stop blaming a white man of dangerous democide, because the true causes of generational genocide are our people committing homicides, killing each other on defensive pride, our people. Gun out the window, shooting as they ride, telling each other honesty or lies, both schedule suicides, just ignorant of whatever isn't growing is dead inside. And yeah, I get it. Their transgressions stop our progression, which make us focus on a recession, contemplate when we're in this depression, but see, we have a misconception of progression. We ride all day lacking moral sense, destroying our present tense, only hurting ourselves, because at the end of the day, that white man goes right back to his white picket fence. As the crimes in our hoods commence, it's a complete different expense. At the end of the day, that racial divide will continuously wide. At the end of the day, that white man will still take my life, silence my begging, fire 18 shots as if I wasn't dead off the second. At the end of the day, we'll probably never know the money that make close relatives act funny as we chase the drug money, believing we're hood rich, but see, that white man control money, he'll get you lynched. At the end of the day, we'll probably never fit the expectation of men, because the denotation of all men are created equal doesn't fit our connotation. And when Weirwan walked around, we tucked shirts, our mouths didn't outburst. Her brags and our performance connect. We promise respect. One day we just want to stay where you stay. So we can send our children where your daughter goes, because we're from where you from. I'm not talking about the 313 where our people are dumb and the reactions to violence are numb. I'm talking about that mind state. You know, that mind state that us women can't seem to escape. We all want the longest hair, the bluest eye, the curviest body. Ain't it the truest lie? Ain't it the truest lie? And before I proceed, I need you to understand whom I'm referring to when I say that white man, because I'm not talking about Tyler Fleming, Aaron Melvin, Christopher Spencer. I'm talking about the one that'll tear you down with his words, but nah, he prefer a pistol. As our mothers cry and our shirts scream, we miss you. So don't mistreat the ones in our schools, because they're not the ones against you. These teachers understand, and they see that it's misplaced social capital. They can name disservice by example and see that disorganization is ample and give us goals without a sample. Yet they stay up all night creating lesson plans, hoping to grasp our short attention spans while we praise these athletes and disrespect those who teach. We praise these athletes but disrespect those who teach, reject knowledge from those who preach, and ignore the goals our ancestors reached. I'm telling you, man, these schools are full of fools, but at the end of the day, education is the only thing you can't take from my being. The only thing you cannot take from my being. That last line is often misunderstood and not accomplished by those who should, not believed by those who could, as they settle with the hood. Resistant to exercise the rights our grandfathers and mothers have fought for, we continuously want more. but can't devote 10 minutes on the first Tuesday of November, people question why vote. Like, they're going to pick whoever they want. I understand the fury with the jury, but in order to be on a jury and indict the officer that gave our son partial life, you must vote. You must vote. Imagine how our lives will be if we repent for all the remorse and start trusting the higher source. As our minds collide and we put all foolishness aside, stop taking from one another and begin to provide. Introduce the art of facing the situation and conclude the fear that comes along as we hide, because at the end of the day, I wait for the day that we understand that we're all that we have and let God fill us up instead of half. We need to understand that you're my brother, man. Blood wouldn't make us any closer. Y'all ignore the teachers will listen to the composer. Because at the end of the day, we have the power to save ourselves and to save one another and rescue our black brother.
But no one stopped to think about the babies or how they would survive. And we've almost lost Detroit.